welcome. I hope you were able to understand whatever we saw in the previous session about ternary operator, the AND operator, and the conditional rendering. In this particular session, it's time to finally put things into practice, whatever we've learned, and we'll see. I have a little sort of a test for you. So this will make our website look a little bit more dynamic in terms of things disappearing and reappearing. So let's see what the challenge is. So this will be our initial sandbox. As you can see, in here we have nothing new. We have the app component. In here we have the form component. It is basically hard coded everything. Let me pop this out. So we have basically three inputs right here, three input fields with one username, password, and confirm password. And then we have this register button. So if you head over to app.jsx, you have some instructions written in comments at down below, and we have one user is registered variable, and this variable is going to determine the fate of our app, like literally. So let's see what the instructions are without moving the user is registered variable anywhere. Oops. So which means that this user is registered variable is supposed to reside in app.jsx from starting to the very end of this test. Second is show login as button text if user is registered as true. Show register as the button text. Let me put this in quotations in order to make things more clear. If the user is registered as false. So basically what we are doing is we are replicating, we are imitating, let's say some social media application login page, for example, Facebook. In that you see you have two options, right? If the user is not registered, we are supposed to create a username, a password, and then since it is the first time that the user is registering with a particular username and password, the website often asks him or her to reconfirm the password that you put and click on register, which is going to get represented by this variable right here. If it is false, that means the user has not registered yet. And if we turn this true, we want to show login written right here instead of register. Okay, or let's replace this with sign in order to make more sense. Okay, register, which means the user is not yet registered, and sign in. And the second step is only show the confirm password input if this variable is true. Sorry, if this variable is false, which means if the user is not registered, only then we are going to show this confirm password. If user is registered, we'll simply make this disappear, and this register will turn into login. So two simple steps: turn this register to login in case the variable is true, and make this confirm password input field disappear from here. We are not supposed to show it if user is registered is true. Okay, let's say make it disappear if user is registered is true. So there you go, guys. You have the instruction written in front of you. You have the initial code in front of you. So just pause this video and get set, go. All right, so let's see how we can do this. So first of all, what we need to do is see, everything that we are supposed to do here is depending on this particular variable of ours. And since all of this code is written inside this form component, the first thing that we got to do is we have to pass this variable as a prop inside our component. So the first thing that we did is, if you see inside these React developer tools, we'll be able to see that for form we have created a prop called representing condition. And then if we move inside form, the first thing that we are asked is that this should display sign in on register depending on whether that particular variable is true or false. And we can simply do it using ternary operator that we have studied in the previous session. So we can just check whether the props dot condition, if it is true, we want to have sign in written on this button of ours, and in case this condition is false, we want it to show register. All right, because the user is not registered yet. So let's test it. See, if I made this true, this text has now changed to sign in, and if I made it false, this text is made, this text turns into register. So these two instructions have successfully been completed. Just hold on guys, let me do a little change in here. I forget it every time. I'm just rolling it back to its initial form, and let me fork this out first. All right, let's say that this particular version is going to be completed. Then similarly, whatever we did before, created a prop called condition, put this variable inside this, and here check via props if the condition is true, have sign in displayed on the button, else display register. And if you hit save here, it should work similar to the previous one. Yeah, you should always fork the sandbox first. For in your case, it will automatically get forked if you start typing or making changes inside this. But that's something I don't have the privilege of. So the second part, that let's just remove these comments, and the second instruction that we have is only show the confirm button if user is registered is false, and that is an important one. So how do we do it? This particular one is the input that says that confirm password and the or whatever input text that we have. So we basically want to first put this inside these curly braces because we are going to write a condition here, and we'll simply check that if, let's say, the condition is true, or see, there are two things. Either you can say that if this condition is false, you have to display this, and if it is true, it should only display sign in, and that confirm password should disappear. And if it is false, you should display it like this. So this was as of now, you can see that this was something using which the challenge can be completed, the practice one. But let's look how can we further shorten this particular code. So instead of writing this triple equals to false, in the previous session we saw that if this particular variable was true, we could simply write it as it is, and since it was boolean, it will be easily recognized by this ternary operator. But what if we want to check that this particular variable is false? All right, because when we write ternary operator, we say that if condition true, then execute expression 1, else execute expression 2. But you know, there's one thing, that if you put this exclamation signs in front of this condition of yours, then it will flip the condition to the opposite, which means now it will check that if this condition is false, if this condition is false. So this basically, this exclamation marks denotes that the falseness, or it will flip the condition. All right, So instead of checking the condition triple equals to false, we can simply put this exclamation mark in front of it and it will behave exactly the same. Instead of checking whether condition is false, this is equivalent to writing this, okay, like this. Now, another thing that we can do here is, we studied the AND operator in the previous session, and we saw that that particular code, that particular notation can be used if we are only rendering in the context of React or displaying something for a particular condition. And if that particular condition is not satisfied, we are not displaying anything. So you can see we have a null here. So instead of using this null here, what we can do is we can simply put the AND operator here by using two ampersand symbols. And again, if you head back to app.jsx and flip this variable, you can see it behaves exactly the same. So this was our little exercise session. So I hope you were able to achieve that. Even if you were able to solve this particular one with the first method, that was using the most extended form of the ternary operator, it is fine. The initial step that we should always take whenever posed with a challenge is to solve it with the brute force approach if you're not understanding anything. And then you can proceed further to optimize it bit by bit. Similar to the proverb that we have in English, like how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. So that's how we should always approach our problems. I hope so. With this particular practice session, this particular topic is complete now. If you have any doubt regarding this, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and I will be providing both the initial and the completed version of the sandbox links in the description below. So make sure to just mess around with it as always and try experimenting new things. And if you have any other suggestion for me with respect to this playlist, whatever we have made up till now, feel free to share your feedback or suggestion down in the comment section. And I will wrap up this now with this particular note, and I'll see you in the next one.